The fluorescent light above bed 14 flickered like a dying insect. Eleanor Harper, 78 years old, skin cracked from decades of Virginia sun and bleach from hospital scrubs, lay on the gurney and counted the blinks. 1 Mississippi? 2 Mississippi? She had broken her hip 2 days ago, falling off a dumpster while hunting for redeemable cans. The ER resident had wanted to give her a morphine bolus. $10, he'd said gently. Ellie had shaken her head. $10 bought 3 days of groceries for the house she no longer lived in. She smelled of garbage and old blood. The nurse had tried to wipe her face. Ellie had turned away. Pride was the last thing she still owned. At 4:17 p.m., the pain crested so hard her vision tunneled. She heard voices in the hallway, familiar ones. "Mom, sign it." Liam's voice, sharp with teenage impatience. Even though he was 59 now, gray stubble, expensive watch, the same entitled tilt of the chin he'd had at 15. "You're dying anyway. Let Dad marry Ava properly. Stop being dramatic." Dramatic. 59 years of 4 a.m. Alarm clocks. Double shifts as a nurse aide. Coming home to cook and clean for a man who claimed a shattered spine from Afghanistan. 59 years of handing over every paycheck while Nathan cried poor and Ava Sinclair wore Cartier on the arm he swore was paralyzed. Ellie tried to laugh. It came out as a cough. She remembered the moment everything crystallized. 3 days ago, when she'd limped into the cosmetic surgery wing looking for a bathroom. Nathan stood at the payment desk, perfectly upright, sliding a cashier's check for $18,000 across the counter. "For Ms. Sinclair's lower face lift and neck contouring, the clerk had chirped. Ava had kissed Nathan's cheek, right there in front of the Botox poster. "You're my hero, Captain Harper." 18,000, the exact amount Ellie had saved, penny by penny, for Liam's future grandkids' college fund. Gone, for a younger woman's jawline. Now Liam dangled a pen over the divorce papers on her chest like she was a corpse already. "Mom, come on." She looked at her son, at the stranger wearing her little boy's face, and felt something inside her ribs snap cleaner than any bone. With the last strength in her body, she grabbed the pen, scrawled a single word across the signature line, and let her arm fall. "Not yours." The heart monitor flatlined at 4:21 p.m. Darkness rushed in, warm and merciful. Then light, blinding, white, hospital-grade light poured over her again. Beep, beep, beep. Ellie's eyes flew open. She was 38 years old. The hip was whole. The hands clutching the sheet were smooth, firm, and unlined. She lay in the main bedroom of the small brick house in Chesterfield County, Virginia, sunlight streaming through the quilt her grandmother had sewn. The front door slammed downstairs. "Ellie, babe, I'm home." Nathan's voice, young, eager, edged with just enough pain to be convincing. She heard the thud of his duffel, the dramatic groan as he eased into the recliner he would occupy for the next 40 years. She sat up slowly. Her heart pounded so hard she tasted metal. This was the day. October 12th, 2010. The day Captain Nathan Harper came home from Kandahar with a herniated disc and shattered vertebrae. Medically retired at 35 with full disability and a fat monthly check. The day she had once cried with relief and promised to take care of him forever. Ellie swung her legs over the side of the bed. The floor was cool under her bare feet. She caught her reflection in the dresser mirror, dark hair still thick, hazel eyes sharp, mouth that hadn't yet learned to apologize for existing. She smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Coming, honey," she called, voice sweet as iced tea. She had 40 years to undo, and this time she wasn't going to waste a single second playing the martyr. Nathan was sprawled in the recliner like a king, expecting tribute, his camouflage jacket half off, one boot still on. He brightened when he saw her in the doorway. "There's my girl." He opened his arms. "Come here. I missed you so damn much." Ellie crossed the room, bent, and kissed his cheek light, dry, final. The smell of his cologne made her stomach clench with muscle memory, but she kept the smile pinned in place. "I missed you too," she lied smoothly. "How's the back?" "Destroyed," he said with theatrical bravery. "Docs say I'll never work again. But hey, full disability, We're set for life, babe. He patted the couch beside him. Sit. I wrote down everything we need from the store. And the pharmacy called my pain meds are ready oxy and muscle relaxers. You'll pick them up, right? In her old life, she had leapt to obey. Today, she tilted her head and studied him like he was a specimen under glass. Actually, she said softly, I have news. Nathan's smile faltered. News? I got the transfer. She pulled the acceptance letter from her back pocket and laid it on the coffee table like a playing card. Physician assistant position at a rural health clinic in upstate New York. Starts in 10 days, housing provided. The room went very quiet. Nathan barked a laugh. You're kidding. I'm not. Are you leaving me? I just got home broken. You're home safe, she cut in, voice gentle, merciless. And I'm done carrying everything alone. The clinic needs me people who have no one else to turn to. His face cycled through confusion, anger, and calculation. Ellie, we've got bills. Liam's starting high school. Liam will be fine, and the disability check is direct deposit. You'll never miss a meal. She stood. I already packed the car. He surged up from the chair, no wince, no stagger, and grabbed her wrist hard enough to bruise. You walk out that door. You're not coming back. She looked down at his fingers, then into his eyes. Good, she said. That's the entire point. She twisted free with a move she'd learned in a self-defense class she'd paid for with overtime in 2017 and never used until now. Nathan stared, stunned, as she walked to the front door. That night, Ava Sinclair showed up with a bottle of champagne and a sympathetic pout. Ellie watched from the upstairs window as Nathan let her in, his arm around her waist. The second the door closed, Ava's laughter floated it up the stairs like perfume. Ellie closed the curtains, took the wedding ring off her finger, and set it on the kitchen counter next to Nathan's untouched grocery list. At 4:47 a.m., she carried one duffel and one box to her 10-year-old Subaru. The Virginia dawn was pink and quiet. She left the porch light on out of habit, or maybe mercy. Before she pulled away, she texted Dr. Victor Lang, the only mentor who had ever treated her like a person instead of a workhorse. Leaving today, thank you for believing in me. His reply came instantly. Drive safe. Eleanor, the mountains are waiting, and so is the life you were always meant to have. She put the car in drive, rolled past the house where Nathan and Ava were probably already tangled in the sheets that still smelled like her detergent, and never looked back. 600 miles north, snow had started to fall on the Adirondacks. Ellie Harper cracked the window, let the cold bite her face, and laughed out loud for the first time in 2 lifetimes. Let them have the house. Let them have the disability checks and the lies and the slow rot of their choices. She was going somewhere no one knew her as the captain's wife. She was going to build something they could never touch. And when they came crawling, and they would, she would be ready. The clinic sat at the end of a dirt road in Essex County, New York, with a population of 147 in winter. Fewer still when the snow really hit. A squat white building with a hand-painted sign. Harper Health, walk-ins welcome. Eleanor Harper. She had quietly dropped the missus. On every form, had been open 6 weeks. She worked 16-hour days, delivered a baby in a pickup truck, set a logger's compound fracture by headlamp, and still found time to laugh with patients who brought her venison stew and homemade maple syrup as payment. The mountains smelled of pine and wood smoke. At night, the sky was so clear that she could see the Milky Way spread across it like a sugar spread. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, Ellie slept without nightmares. Ryan Caldwell showed up the first week with a cord of split firewood and a shy grin. 39, sun-browned, owner of the biggest cattle ranch in the county. He had kind hazel eyes and hands that could gentle a spooked horse or rewire a generator without needing to consult the manual. Every morning, he found a reason to stop by the generator needs diesel. The clinic steps are icy, and he brought you coffee. Ellie pretended not to notice the way he lingered. Back in Virginia, things were not going as smoothly. Nathan's texts started politely. How are you? Babe, and escalated fast. You took the good coffee maker. Liam failed 2 classes because there's no food in the house. Ava says the water heater is broken, and it's your fault for not maintaining it. Ellie read them, smiled, and deleted. Then the money slowed. Nathan's disability check was supposed to be ironclad, but suddenly, payments were pending review. He didn't know she had mailed an anonymous packet to the Inspector General the day she left medical records from Kandahar, showing a minor muscle strain magically upgraded to catastrophic spinal injury the week Nathan discovered Ava had moved back to Richmond. Oops. 8 weeks after Ellie vanished, a black Dodge Ram roared up the clinic's snowy driveway doing 60. Nathan exploded out of the driver's side, no cane, no back brace, no limp, looking healthier than he had in 20 years. Liam trailed behind, sullen in a new Canada Goose jacket that probably cost more than the clinic's annual budget. Nathan took one look at the sign, Harper Health, and his face went purple. "You think you can erase me?" he roared, storming through the door, scattering patients. "I'm injured, I'm a disabled veteran, and my wife runs off to play Florence Nightingale in the middle of nowhere." Ellie was stitching a little boy's chin. She didn't even glance up. "Waiting room's full? Captain Harper? Take a number or take a hike?" The room went dead silent. Old Mr. Landry actually clapped. Nathan's mouth opened and closed like a trout. Liam whispered, "Dad, people are filming." Nathan lowered his voice to a dangerous hiss. "Outside. Now." Ellie finished the last suture, taped a Band-Aid shaped like a dinosaur on the boy's chin, and washed her hands with deliberate calm. "Ryan, can you watch the desk for 5 minutes?" Ryan Caldwell unfolded his 6'3" frame from the corner where he'd been quietly restocking gloves. "Happy to, Doc." The way he said Doc made it sound like a love letter. Outside snow swirled under the security light. Nathan tried the sweet first. "Baby, come home. I fired the home health aide. Ava moved out. It's just Liam and me. We need you." Ellie almost laughed in his face. Ava didn't move out. She was probably in the truck keeping the seat warm. She reached into her coat pocket and produced a crisp set of divorce papers, already notarized. Sign. Nathan stared like she'd pulled a gun. "Are you seriously doing this?" "Already did." She pointed to the signature line where her name sat neat and final your turn. He snatched the papers, ripped them in half, then quarters, letting the pieces flutter into the snow like white confetti. "I'm not signing shit. You're my wife." Ellie shrugged. "Fine. The Inspector General has the other copy, along with your original radiology films, those that show no spinal damage." She watched the blood drain from his face. "They estimate you've collected roughly $1.4 million in fraudulent benefits. That's a felony. Nathan federal time." For the first time in 2 lifetimes, Nathan Harper looked small. "You wouldn't," he whispered. "I already did," she said softly. "Merry Christmas." She turned to go back inside. Liam caught her sleeve, eyes red. "Mom, please, I'm hungry all the time. Aunt Ava only buys kale and Prosecco." Ellie looked at her son. Really looked and felt something crack inside her chest. She cupped his cold cheek. "You're 15. Liam, old enough to use a stove, old enough to see what's real. When you're ready to choose better, you know where to find me." She walked away. Behind her, Nathan screamed her name into the night, voice cracking like thin ice. Ryan was holding her coat when she stepped back inside. He didn't ask questions. He just wrapped it around her shoulders and murmured, "You okay?" She leaned into him for half a second, just long enough to breathe. "Getting there," she said. 2 weeks later, the military froze Nathan's benefits pending a full investigation. The Dodge Ram was repossessed. Ava Sinclair did not handle poverty well. Ellie found out because suddenly her phone wouldn't stop blowing up. "Nathan, I need $5K for a lawyer." "Emergency, Ava," from Nathan's phone. "You vindictive bitch. Liam, Mom, I'm sorry. Can I stay with you, please?" Ellie sent Liam the clinic address and a bus ticket. He never used it. Then the retaliation started. A viral blog post appeared overnight. Hero Marine's wife abandons disabled vet for wealthy lover. Exclusive photos. Grainy shots of Ryan leaving the clinic at dusk. Ellie laughing beside him. Comments called her every name in the book. Someone threw a brick through the clinic window with horror painted in red. Ellie stood in the wreckage at 6 a.m., glass crunching under her boots, and for the first time since Rebirth, she felt the old panic rising. Ryan found her there, wrapped a blanket around her shaking shoulders. "They're trying to break you," he said quietly. "Don't let them." That night, she wired Nathan exactly $47.83, the balance left in their old joint account after Ava's last shopping spree. Text for lawyer fees. Best I can do. 3 days later, Ava struck again. Ellie was invited to Manhattan by a nonprofit wanting to fund mobile clinics. She took the train, hopeful. The meeting was a setup. Ava greeted her in a penthouse boardroom, wearing 6-inch heels and a smile like a shark. "Sit," Ava said, pouring champagne. "Let's be adults." She slid a check across the table, $250,000 hush money. "Disappear forever. Sign an NDA swearing that the fraud allegations were false." Ellie stared at the zeros. In her old life, that would have bought a lifetime of security. She picked up the pen, heart hammering, then wrote "Return to sender" across the check in bold red ink. Ava's smile vanished. 2 security guards appeared. Zip ties bit into Ellie's wrists. They marched her down a service elevator and tossed her into the alley like trash. For one terrifying moment, she was 78 again, dying alone. Then her phone, still in her coat pocket, buzzed 1 bar of signal. She managed to hit speed dial. "Dr. Victor Lang" answered on the first ring. "Eleanor." "Track my location," she rasped. "Ava Sinclair just had me assaulted. I have proof." 24 hours later, the FBI raided Ava's office instead. It turns out Ava had been using Nathan's veteran status to funnel VA grant money into a fake medical spa chain. Her silent partner, a hedge fund predator named Marcus Reed, who laundered the profits through crypto. But Marcus was more brilliant than Ava. When the raid hit, he vanished along with $14 million and left a neat digital trail pointing straight to Eleanor Harper as the mastermind. 2 days before Christmas, federal agents knocked on the clinic door with an arrest warrant. Ryan mortgaged half his ranch to post her $500,000 bail. Nathan showed up at the county jail visiting room wearing a smug little smile. "Look what happens when you try to play with the big kids, Elle." She stared at him through the glass, wrists bruised from cuffs, and felt every year of both lives pressing down. Ryan was waiting outside when they released her. He didn't hug her in front of the cameras, just opened the truck door and said, voice rough, "Let's go home." That night, she sat on Ryan's porch, wrapped in one of his flannel shirts, watching snow fall on the mountains she'd come to love, and cried until there was nothing left. She was cornered, outmaneuvered by people smarter and crueler than she'd ever been. But the game wasn't over. Not yet. And Eleanor Harper had already died once. She wasn't afraid of the dark anymore. She was just getting started. The holding cell smelled of bleach and despair. Eleanor Harper sat on the metal bench in an orange jumpsuit 2 sizes too big, wrists still ringed with bruises from the zip ties and the cuffs that followed. Wire fraud. Conspiracy to defraud the VA. Up to 25 years. Marcus Reed had vanished like smoke, leaving a trail of forged emails, doctored bank records, and one damning voice memo. Ellie's own voice, deep-faked, saying, "We'll bleed the VA dry and retire to the Caymans." She had laughed when they played it for her, a cracked, exhausted sound. They thought she was insane. Ryan came every visiting day, pressing his palm to the glass until the guard barked at him. He never asked if she did it. He only asked what she needed. She always answered the same time. On day 9, the public defender presented a plea deal, 15 years. Ellie stared at the paperwork until the letters began to blur. 15 years. She would be 70 again by the time she saw a sky that wasn't fenced. That night, she dreamed of the county hospital, the garbage smell, and Liam forcing the pen into her dying hand. She woke gasping, heart monitor beeps still in her ears, and understood something with perfect clarity. She had already died once for these people. She would not do it twice. The next morning, a new visitor was buzzed in. Liam, 16 years old now, taller than she remembered, eyes red from crying, or shame, maybe both. He sat down, looked at the floor, then slid a cheap USB drive across the table. "I recorded everything." He whispered for 2 years. Ava used to brag on Xbox Party Chat when she thought I was AFK. She laughed about how easy Dad was to manipulate. There's a lot, dates, dollar amounts, and Marcus Reed's real name, even the night she paid someone to deepfake your voice. Ellie stared at the little black drive as if it were solid gold. "Why?" she asked, her voice raw. Liam's mouth trembled. "Because I'm tired of being the reason you keep losing." He left before she could answer. That afternoon, Dr. Victor Lang walked into the Yum Chan's attorney's office with Liam's drive, a stack of original medical records proving Nathan's fraud, and a 40-year impeccable reputation behind him. He did not ask for mercy. He asked for justice. 48 hours later, the charges against Eleanor Harper were dropped in the interest of justice. Marcus Reed was arrested trying to board a private jet in Teterboro with $14 million in bearer bonds and a new passport. Ava Sinclair was taken into custody wearing the same diamond earrings Nathan had bought her with Ellie's overtime. Nathan showed up at the county jail the day Ellie walked out, looking like a man who'd aged 10 years in 10 days. He tried to hug her. She stepped aside so smoothly he stumbled. "Don't," she said quietly. "We're done." He started to beg money gone, house in foreclosure. Ava screaming at him from a holding cell. Ellie didn't wait for the punchline. She walked into the winter sunlight where Ryan was leaning against his truck, arms folded, snowflakes catching in his dark hair. He opened the passenger door, as always. This time, she kissed him right there in front of the sheriff's deputies and every news van in the tri-state area. The photo went viral on X an hour later and remained a trending topic for 3 days. The trial was held in Albany in early spring, when the mountains were still covered in snow, but the first crocuses had pushed through nonetheless. Ava took the stand in a modest gray dress, hair pulled back, trying to look like a repentant schoolteacher. The prosecutor played Liam's recordings. Ava's real voice laughing, vicious, drunk on power filled the courtroom. "Poor little war hero can't even tie his shoes without his maid wife. Keep him doped up and grateful, and the checks never stop." The jury was out for 43 minutes. Ava is 18 years old. Marcus Reed took a plea for 12 and vanished into witness protection. Nathan, now reduced to a court-appointed attorney, pleaded guilty to the original benefits fraud and received 5 years probation, loss of rank, and restitution of $187 million, an amount he would never be able to pay. He tried one last time outside the courthouse, grabbing Ellie's sleeve as photographers snapped away. "Ellie, please, I'm nothing without you." She looked at him, really looked, and felt only exhaustion. "You were never something with me. Nathan, you just let me carry the weight so you could pretend." She walked away. He didn't follow. That night, Ryan took her to the top of Caldwell Ridge. The ranch spread out below them, Black Angus grazing under a sky full of stars. "I have something for you," he said, voice rough. He pulled a small velvet box from his coat. Inside was the plain gold band he'd offered once before. "I'm not asking today either," he said. "I'm asking you to keep it until the day you don't flinch when someone touches you without asking first." Ellie slipped the ring onto her right hand, not yet the left, and kissed him so softly it felt like breathing. 5 years later, Harper Health Network now operates 27 mobile clinics, spanning from the Adirondacks to the Catskills. Funding comes from federal grants, private donors, and one very profitable telehealth platform Ellie built with a team of women who once scrubbed floors for a living. She finally moved the ring to her left hand on a quiet Tuesday in June. The wedding was 20 people, a potluck on Ryan's porch, and Liam, now 21, sober, and studying nursing gave her away without being asked. Nathan lives in a 1-bedroom above a bar in Richmond, working nights as a bouncer. Sometimes he mails letters, and she returns them unopened. Ava was denied parole twice. The third time is in 8 years. And Eleanor Harper, 43, going on unbreakable wakes every morning to mountains that belong to no one but greet her by name. One spring evening, she's closing the original clinic, the little white building that started everything, when a familiar black Dodge Ram rattles up the driveway. The paint is now faded, and the bumper is held together with duct tape. Liam climbs out, alone. He stands there a moment, hands in his pockets, looking exactly like the little boy who once begged her to come home. "I finished my first semester of nursing school," he says, straight A's. Ellie leans against the doorframe, arms folded, waiting. "I just wanted to say it out loud," his voice cracks. "I'm proud to be your son, and I'm sorry it took me so long to deserve it." The mountains are quiet. Somewhere, a cow bellows. Ryan's porch light flickers on down the road. He always knows when she's late. Ellie crosses the gravel and pulls her son into a hug for the first time in 6 years. He's shaking. So is she. I was always proud of you, she whispers against his hair. I just needed you to grow into the man I knew you could be. Later, after Liam drives away with a full belly and a standing invitation for Sunday dinner, Ellie walks home through the fields. Ryan is on the porch swing, 2 glasses of iced tea sweating in the warm dusk. He doesn't ask how it went. He shifts over so she can sit, tucks her against his side the way he's done every night for 5 years. Above them, the stars come out, bright and indifferent and eternal. Ellie looks at the ring on her finger, at the clinic lights glowing in the valley below, at the life she clawed back from the grave with her own bleeding hands. She thinks of the woman dying alone in a hospital bed who once believed love meant self-erasure. Then she turns her face into Ryan's shoulder and smiles. That woman is gone. This one is just getting started. And this time, no one will ever make her beg for scraps again.